All right, so we have landed at a place where we are in a time period where we don't see a lot of artists who are able to craft songs and oven bake songs, so to speak, as much as they could prior to the age of social media. And I would say a lot of that is due to the fact that as indie artists, we constantly have to create, we constantly have to make sure our output is there. And even though that's always been a factor for any musician or any artist or any practitioner in the industry, period, I would say that there has been heightened pressure for us to do it because if we're pursuing ownership, then that means we also have to pursue the work ethic to make sure we're constantly in front of people on social media, whether it be content or just a ton of music. So I think for that reason, we have not been able to, again, like just craft songs as much as some of the earlier artists were able to. Do you think that the age of hit singles are dead? And when I say hit singles, I mean success on a large global scale. Because you also got to think about this, and you'll disagree with me. I won't say you'll disagree with me, but I think in the past 5, maybe even 6 or 7 years, have we seen another Kendrick? Have we seen another Drake? Have we seen another Cole? And I know time is usually the test of that, but come on now, within the past 5 years, you would have at least seen some candidates. I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm talking from the heart. So go ahead.
No, I disagree.
Okay.
So there's, first of all, a global hit to whatever magnitude. You have to remember that everybody can be global at the push of a button now. So it's created more global artists with social media than there ever has been before. Additionally, the point about artists, creating timeless things more, and that's just nostalgia. So people can make more music now because the technology has advanced so much that they don't have to travel to XYZ location to record XYZ album. They can just make it at their house now, so they can pump out more content. So if you look at like the time management of that all, I say it equals out. Like there was less competition back in the day.
Okay.
So that's another thing. So if there's less competition, then what they're playing and their means of distribution, which was the radio, then once you have that formula and that setup, that's what made a song stick for so long. So nowadays there's tens of thousands of songs coming out a week and a day. So something is going to stick to a certain audience, but it's not going to stick to everybody like that anymore because they have more choices. So if you have more choices available to you, like in my library, is there going to be somebody that I still play 10 years from now when I hit the shuffle button on my library? Yeah, there is going to be somebody that I still listen to. I still love that song. But before, it would have been, I have this CD or I have this cassette, and that's my limitation of listening to that. So I'm just going to play this over and over again because this has 10 songs on this CD and I got to change that out and then pop in another one. And nowadays I don't have to do that. I just hit the next button.
Yeah.
I can just hit the next button on my shuffle. I have thousands of songs in my library.
Yeah.
Therefore, the model's just different. So the hit, like a hit single, looks different these days than it did before because of the supply and the demand.
Sure, absolutely. So I don't want to undermine the power of radio still, though, because even though there's more competition on our socials and on Spotify, all the streaming platforms, there's more competition there. But when you do have a song that is picked up by radio, that allows way more opportunity for an artist to spread more, for them to trend more. And I would say that the competition at that point, it enters a whole other stratosphere as in comparison to the songs that are just limited to the the digital infrastructure, the social media and streaming platforms and all of that.
Radio it's an affinity audience.
Right.
An affinity audience, you can make one of these on YouTube, by the way, that has far more distribution than radio, is taking somebody who, let's say they let's say you're a hip hop artist that wants to sound like Kendrick, or you want to target Kendrick's listeners. You can do that on YouTube, or you can just target everybody that likes West Coast hip hop. That's more of an affinity audience. Or you can just target everybody that likes hip hop. That's a larger affinity audience. So you can pump that out to YouTube far more than you can on radio these days, and you can do it a lot more efficiently. So radio still has a place, in terms of their ad rates, maybe, or like how you get connected to the radio and like all that stuff. Like, yeah, it might have some place, but it's definitely not significant enough to me and all the metrics that we have at hand to say that this is what's going to make this hit single a hit single. Because even with them, they still have competition in there, but it's just slowly dying. Like, it's slowly diminishing by the day, because you can just listen to a playlist that doesn't have ads. Like, why would I play the radio?
But does that give way to a new reality of there not being any more hit singles? Again, from a grand
like
scale.
It used to be.
Yeah.
There's not going to be as many because of the things I've stated before, but it's just going to look different. Like, it's not going to be that one artist, you hear the same song 10 times in the day unless you want to. Like, you get that choice now. If you're in your car, you don't have to hit the repeat button on a song 10 times. You get to pick.
Very true. There is this thing that can occur right now as we speak, to where if I'm right here in Atlanta and I run into somebody in LA, like Los Angeles or something like that, we're both going to know the Montel Jordan song, This is how we do it, right? So in 10 years from now, because radio is dying and because we are, in the social media age, do you think that'll exist anymore, to where we both know that this song, this timeless song, not any of the songs that are already established as classics, but from this artist who came in 2020, he put out this song and we both know it, and it's globally recognized.
Yeah, it won't be as much. So, like I said, there's more competition. So, if somebody makes a playlist, let's say they have the 70s playlist, 80s, 90s, they have 80s pop, they have 80s rock. So the people who like that playlist, yeah, they're going to know it. And if you guys are like hanging around the same stuff and you're at the same concert, yeah, you guys are still going to know that song.
Right.
But if you go to like some 70s rock concert tomorrow, you probably don't know that.
But that's my point, though. I feel like everything is niching down. Like, everything is niching down. And when I say, hey, in terms of, like a massive global hit, not saying that we should even aspire to that, but I just feel like, that season, that phase is dying. And that's another reason why I say it's harder for artists who aspire, who wanted to be in that position, who aspired to do such a thing. It's harder for them now to crank out a timeless hit, because timeless is objective now.
Subjective.
It's subjective. I always misuse that word. Timeless is subjective now. And so, that's why, I like bringing up the point that, yeah, we can work our way to it. We can, fight for ownership. We can make sure that we're building our own infrastructure, but we do have to redefine what success is for us, because I don't know if it'll look like a Kendrick or a J. Cole or a Drake. I don't think so.
It's not. It looks better, because with a lot of those, they were dependent on a label. And the label had the connections to the radio and the distribution. That's not to say that they didn't have their own merit to it, but there still could have been guys that were just as good, that the label, for whatever reason, said, we don't want to take you.
Yeah.
We don't want your music. Therefore, it was a good old boy club, and whoever got in, got in.
Yeah.
But now these days, the gatekeeper's out the way, so it's better.
Yeah. And this is my last point. On the flip side of that, though, I also feel like there could be music that's far better than some of the classics that we've heard before, that's just undiscovered because of the competition is so much higher, and people who might not make as good music are still more visible because they know how to work social media. And that again, that was also a part of my lamenting earlier. It's the fact that, man, we won't be able to discover good, wholesome, quality music as easy as we could back in the
It's
day.
easier now than ever.
What'd you say? It's easier now
It's
than
easier
ever.
now than ever. If you don't want to learn, that's a good way to see it. So if you don't want to learn marketing, you are keeping your product from your listeners.
Mm-hmm.
So think about it that way. Every time you want to say, I'll just give this to my friends and family to share it, you're keeping it from people because you're being stubborn about marketing. If you don't want to come to an agency that knows what they're doing, or take some courses, or watch more YouTube videos like this, all that stuff, you're keeping it from people. So
It's a good way to look at it.
if you really want that out there, like, there's no shame in getting 5 jobs, set up a good business structure, then get a model down, scale that model so you have more money to then give to the marketing and to the business structure.
Yeah, that's good, man. Good stuff.